2023 White Lake Half Triathlon, Saturday, May the 6th on 2023. Here we go. This is a unique triathlon race. This is not a sanctioned Ironman or Challenge or any of those races. This is just a USAT race that we do have some participants showing up for. So if you wanted to find out who is racing and what is going on, you can head over to one of the pages and then scroll down to the bottom and you can check out the participant list. What we're going to be after here first is that packet pickup. So packet pickup on that website, make sure you're checking the website. They're probably going to be in contact the next couple of weeks here leading up to the race to let you know what's going to be happening, where and when with your email. So make sure you are keeping track of that as the weeks slowly get closer to the race day. Now, on packet pickup website or link, it does have a address right here for you to show up to the race. So if you need your address to get their driving directions, there it is. Days and times for packet pickup is Friday, May the 5th, 4 to 7 p.m. and Saturday the 6th from 5:30 to 6:45 a.m. Bring your ID, credit cards, or whatever you need to pay for the race, and everyone must pick up their own packet. Participant meeting. There is a participant meeting at 7 p.m. on Friday the 5th, day before the race, and they say it's going to last about 30 minutes and cover some of the basics out on course. Make sure that you are there ahead of time. And so now let's dive into some nitty-gritty details out on course. So first up is our swim course, and it is a 2-loop course. That 2 loops is going to be a theme out here on this White Lake Triathlon course, and we are going to start out over here. And you can see it's a little bit hard to understand what's happening here because we do have start and then finish, and the arrows are pointing in the opposite direction. So I'm going to go with the arrows pointing, and we are doing a clockwise pattern here, which means that if it's the opposite way, just reverse everything from here. So that's going to be a good item to take note of when you are at that participant meeting the day before, hopefully. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So sunrise is going to happen over at this point in time. So wherever you are coming back in, you are going to be facing the sun. If it is a clockwise pattern, this whole long stretch here, you are going to be breathing into the sunlight if you are a right-hand breather and it is sunny. So keep that in the back of your head. If this is a beach start, we will exit right over here, and it is going to be fast and heavy right through this point in time. Watch out for the dock right here, because you know people are going to be cutting that very, very tightly there just to cut off some distance out on the swim. So your really high-end volume, your really high-end intensity is going to come right at this point early on in the race, and then things are going to slowly start to shuffle down in this section right through here. But on this course, because of the nature of it, it's probably not going to calm down until about halfway through the loop, believe it or not. And once you get to this point, then things are going to start to calm down. I would be on your P's and Q's on this sharp hand turn right here. If someone is failing to sight, then this is going to be a danger area for you, especially because if you're a right-handed breather, you are going to be breathing into the sun, and you're also going to have to worry about other people straggling off. So it might not be a terrible idea to take this turn a bit wide and then get back on course, just in case you have someone attacking this turn buoy a little differently than they should. So like we said, about halfway through here, things are going to start thinning out. You need to be finding your pack right around this point over here before you get to that first major turn out on course. By the time you get halfway through this long section right here, it should be pretty smooth sailing for you. Your group should be working together. If you are going to try and bridge a gap to another group, this is going to be the point in time where you need to do it right here. If you wait longer and try to do it here, you probably are not going to catch them by the time you hit the beach. And so this is probably going to be the time where you need to make the decision. Am I jumping to the next group, or am I just sitting pretty with this group before I start the second loop again? Second major turnout on course, again, it is a very sharp corner, and right-handed breathers, this is going to be a terrible junction for you. You're breathing off into the sun. It's a sharp hand turn directly into the sun for a little while, and so this is going to be a little difficult to navigate. So the days leading up to the race, make sure you have a couple of sighting points. And this big dock right here might not be a bad one, at least initially to start out. That will get you close to that finish line. And again, if you are in a pack of people and everyone is rolling really well, you're sitting 5th or 6th person in your pack, then you might just want to follow them for a couple of strokes to see what's going on and get your bearings a little bit before you start making some major course corrections there. Coming back in, since this is a 2-loop exit, once you do get closer, you are going to have to start kicking your feet. Think those overkick drills that we do sometimes. That's going to start to happen right through here, okay? And if you don't do that, then you run the risk of getting a cramp, and it usually won't happen until you start to get back in the water. So make sure you start doing your over kicks right through here and carry that all the way to the finish line so you can just hop up nice and easy and come back in. It looks like you are going to be able to dolphin dive here, but again, make sure that you take that into consideration the days preceding that and seeing what you can and cannot do leading up to the race. Second loop, it's very, very similar to the first loop. We have a beach start. You're going to run in. You're probably going to cut that pretty tight because it cuts off some distance. If they do have a turn buoy, a mandatory buoy where you have to go to the right of it, make sure that you are going straight to that buoy and then in. This is going to be an easy section, this zag, beach, zig, zig, beach, zag. That's going to be an easy section to jump a group or two or get up in front of a couple of people if you do have a massive group coming into this point in time. If you are worried or maybe you think you overdid it and there's a group coming up right behind you, you might want to take that beach section just a little bit gingerly, exiting on the beach and then entering again. It will be an easy spot for them to catch up to you, and then you can get back in and not have to worry about cramps or anything like that. Second lap, it's pretty much the same thing. This time, when you start to get to this turn buoy, you want to start increasing the leg speed a little bit and getting back in there. When you do get back into that beach, make sure you are not increasing your sights or your sighting repetition. Keep the same pattern that you have been doing over the course of the race, and hopefully that is, probably 10, 15 strokes in between sights. And that's the swim in a nutshell. Now the bike, if we scroll up here on their site, and we're going to bounce around really fast, but on their site, this is what it looks like. And again, that 2-loop model remains for the bike course. And if we dig in a little bit deeper, we can start to see this is a 2-loop course right here, and we have about 715 feet of elevation gain out on course today. What that means for you is a number of different things. Since there is only about 700 feet of elevation gain, this course is relatively flat. Even on their website, when you start to dig into some of the finer details, they say that there is pretty much no elevation gain out there. Here is a direct statement from them. There are virtually no elevation gains on the entire course and very few turns. So that leads itself to a very weather dependent course. So if it is a great day, you're going to have a fantastic opportunity to hit a PR or get close to it. Okay, you will experience some light vehicle traffic on the entire ride. That means the course is probably not going to be super closed. There are going to be instances where you are exposed to traffic out there. Keep that in mind in the back of your head, because if you do try to go around a car and you do cross those double yellow lines and a marshal or someone sees you, you open yourself up to getting an automatic DQ per USAT rules. That is another reason why you should head on over to the USAT site and at least study some of those basic rules that they have up there so you don't put yourself in any issues. There's going to be water bottle handoff locations where participants will pass at mile 21 and mile 49. So let's find that out over here. 29 is right here. Okay, so you're going to pass that, and then 49, which is right in here. Okay, you're going to pass these two areas 2 times. So one located at 29, just like they said, boom, right there, I believe. 21 and 49, excuse me, 21, which is the same spot right there, once and then twice. So you have 2 opportunities to refuel on here. Unsure if it's just water or if it's something else out there. I would assume it's just water on this course, so you might want to pack your nutrition yourself. And this would be a good opportunity to practice some of those race day tactics that we are going to employ later on in the season or at another key event out there. Now, If we head over to our best bike split, there we go. If we do head over to our best bike split, this is an example of a workout right through here. And as you can see, we have a very, it looks, when you first look at it, if we take the elevation out of here and we take the speed out of here, so you're just looking at power, it's a pretty flat profile, believe it or not. It looks like there are pretty chunky or choppy areas in here, but when you look at it really closely, or you just take a moment to really assess it, there's not a whole lot of elevation gain or power change like they talked about. So now let's bring all this back, and we're going to cycle through this course. And I want you to follow along below with the person down here on the map. You can also, what I really want you to take note of is this weather profile with what is typical for race day out there. So when we start out, we are going to come into a direct headwind, and that's going to immediately shift into a tailwind. So that tells you one thing right off the bat. If you are going for those podium slots and you are chasing groups coming out of the water, this is going to be a tough scenario to catch up to people for these first couple of miles because the pace is going to be so fast, at least coming out of the water here. So with that, you need to have your group in sight or be in that group. If you are worried about your transitions, then you might want to exit the water a little bit ahead of a couple of key people out on the race so you can exit with them out on the bike course and not be left behind. When we make a right-hand turn almost to that main circle, the wind will directly shift and you're going to have a cross headwind coming right at you. Again, because it is virtually flat, this is going to be a case where the power does pop up, and you can see that on the profile right through there. And honestly, you're probably not going to see a group again if you're not there now. The only way you're going to do that is if they explode and you maintain your power and you really just keep the hammer down for a lot of miles here. But once you get out onto this main course, then the wind kind of shifts a little bit as well. You are going to experience a crosswind. In some instances, it's going to be a tailwind, but in most, it's going to be a cross headwind. Now when we make that right-hand turn at the top of the course, we are going to turn directly into a headwind, and that is going to be the theme for the length of that road. We're going to make another right-hand turn, and we're going to approach that water station that we talked about earlier, and during this portion, you are going to have a tailwind and a crosswind during this section. So again, if you are chasing groups, by the time you get here to mile 18.4 all the way pretty much to 26.3, 26.4, that is going to be a tough stretch of road to do so unless you really have your aero kit really nailed and the others do not. So you have, in my mind, pretty much until mile 18.5 to get to wherever you need to get. And if you're not there, then you are racing on your own for a while here until the run. Then it is a carbon copy. Right after that, you're going to make a left-hand turn out there on the course. You're going to go right across the lake, or right along the lake, where you pass transition again. This whole area when you are at the lake is going to be a headwind, and it is not going to be super fun here. You're going to pass transition, and if you are not in the right mental space, this whole second lap is going to be really tough for you because the wind shifts again, and it's just going to be a little more challenging here. When you're at the bottom of this lake portion, again, tailwind, and the wind really stays the same here. You have a cross headwind, just like you did before, and it shifts for a slight tailwind section here, and then it's going to start turning on you, and you are going to be in that headwind again, and it's just going to be a carbon copy right there. So we are going to take elevation away, we are going to take power away for a second, and look at this power profile, or this speed profile out on course. So what you can see in a course like this is it's really wavy, and this again is all down to the weather and what is going to happen out on race day. If the wind is friendly, this might be a little flatter, but you can really see that over the course of this race it does shift a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean here with a nice little arrow. So if you look at that, your speed will decrease over the course of this ride if we were to smooth that out, but there's a perfect line right there where my cursor is right now, and it's all going to stay right around there. But as the wind does pick up, it will definitely take a hold a little bit. more. And you can see right through here, this is exactly what it typically does. It starts out there, but it does shift a little bit and makes your job a little bit harder, especially on that second lap coming in where the aid station is on that last road, right along the bottom, right through here. Now, if we are going to do a time analysis here and take our power profile, let's just bump it up by 1% to see where the most time saving sections are on course. And just a 1% increase will net you 29 seconds. 2% increase is a 58, and then it just keeps going just like that. But if you notice here, when you do that 1% increase, pretty much the whole screen lights up, which tells you one thing, that this course is very, very flat. So again, you have a lot of opportunities to shave some time in this section, in these areas if you need to. If you are going to try and catch your group, if you missed them coming out of the water over here, if you come off really fast, really hard, excuse me, with just a 1% increase here, you are going to save a whopping 0.7 seconds through this section right here where the biker guy is on the map. Again, these areas do add up, 0.6, 0.7, and then over here you have 0.8, which is your largest gain. But if you see this green highlighted all over the map here, then it typically tells you that it's just going to be a steady increase over the course of the whole ride, okay? It's a very flat course. This is purely going to be down to you, and I would honestly save some of those higher efforts for these back sections on both loops. If you are going to make some of those adjustments, then I would really save it for that second loop regardless, unless you're trying to catch the group on the first loop. And that is the bike course off in a nutshell. Remember, you're only going to have one opportunity per lap to get some race fueling in, and I don't know if it's going to be water or water with something else. If it is simulated, think like an Ironman or a Roth or a Rev 3 or whatever. If it is going to be one of those aid stations like that or a modeled one, that would be perfect, but I don't know if it's just going to be water or something else. So that would be a question to ask at your race briefing the night beforehand. All right, so now that is the bike in a nutshell, the run. And if you look at the run, it says the run course, it's an out and back design, it's pancake flat, and I just had to double check that because sometimes they do sneak a couple of things in on you. And I did my turnaround right through here because that's what made sense to me, and it added up to almost exactly a half marathon here. So realistically, this is probably what's going to happen. The turnaround going to be right through here. But, they could do something a little different. If that is the case, then it's probably going to be a shorter course than what is listed out here. Because if you look at the turnaround right through here, that's where that is. And if you go to the run course over here, the turnaround happens way sooner. So if this is the case, we're probably looking at a shorter run course, although I don't know how much shorter that would probably be. Either way, over the course of this whole half marathon, let's call it, we have 120 feet of elevation gain, and it's very, very, very minimal. So we will go out and we will have a little climb up to the main road. Once we're there, it's pretty flat, levels down. There are a couple rises in here before we do the same thing, climbing up to that main road area, that junction, and then we're headed back down, back to the beginning, and then we rinse and repeat. So again, this one's largely going to be down to you and some of the external factors that play out here. If you have a perfect day, weather's 70 degrees, which is what's forecasted this far away, which we're talking a month away. If it is a perfect day out there, then you are purely bound by what's going on around you in your environment. Okay. If other people are really putting the hammer down, then you're going to open yourself up to opportunities to crater later on if you chase them or you play the games with them. So know the numbers that you are typically putting out, and then race with those, with what you've normally been doing, and you will have race day success out there. It's okay to kind of chase some of these people earlier on in the bike to establish your groups or whatever, and then on the run, if you do get through the first loop, you're like, okay, now it's time to put the hammer down, go for it, But it's all about what you do in moderation out here on race day. If you're chasing people the whole time and you're doing their race, then chances are you're probably not going to have raced a success out there. So have fun. Let me know how you go, and everybody that's doing it, if you want individual consultations or you want me to talk about it a little bit more with you individually, I'll be happy to do so.